Pittsburgh Steelers have received some bad news regarding wide receiver George Pickens, as it was reported by Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette today that Pickens suffered a grade 2 hamstring injury, meaning that there is a small tear in his hamstring and is likely out for Week 15 versus the Philadelphia Eagles and potentially beyond that. So if you guys want to kick off today's show by wishing George a speedy recovery, spam those 14s down there in the comment section. I mean, Lord knows this team needs George Pickens down the stretch. So if you want him to have that speedy recovery, send some love his way. Put his number 14, down there in the comment section to kick off today's show. So, Jerry Dulac reported this actually, I believe, on a radio show earlier, so I don't have his original tweet via a tweet there, but Brooke Pryor, ESPN reporter, did report today George Pickens is dealing with a grade 2 hamstring strain. Sources tell ESPN hamstrings are tricky injuries, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Steelers are extra cautious with their top receiver during this 3-game gauntlet. Now, obviously, guys, the short-term ramifications here, especially if it's true that Pickens won't play this week, is that you're going to be down your best receiver when you're going to be traveling to a place that you haven't won since we've landed on the moon. All right, it's been since 1965 since the Steelers have beaten the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly, and Philly has a great team this year with arguably the best running back in football and one of if not the best defense in the league. And you're going to have to go in there without George Pickens and come away with a victory. It's definitely going to be a dubious proposition at best for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they're going to have to play a complete football game to take down the Birds in the city of brotherly love. But talking about big picture here, this injury actually concerns me quite a bit here. Now, I do think, that this type of injury usually takes 2 to 4 weeks to get back from a grade 2 injury here, which is a slight tear. But as we know, man, 4 weeks, that's the rest of the regular season here. So no more George Pickens for the rest of the regular season. And, it just feels like, we've been talking about it even since the offseason. What happens if George Pickens gets hurt? Because this wide receiver room, plain and simply, is not good enough to really carry the weight that George Pickens has in this wide receiver room. And without George on the field, defenses can really pin their ears back, and they don't have to worry as much about the downfield pass. Take a look here at the average points per game for the Steelers with Russell Wilson at quarterback this year. When George Pickens plays, it's 390 yards. All right, yesterday against the Cleveland Browns, it was only at 267. Now, that's just a one-game sample size. All right, but that is a significant difference there, and I do think that if you don't have George Pickens out there, that is a significant piece to your offense that is out of action there. And I do think that if George is out for the remainder of the regular season and he is out for that entire month, this may cost the Pittsburgh Steelers the division. All right, and that's not an overstatement, in my opinion, guys. You take a look here at the division. The Steelers have a 2-game lead over the Baltimore Ravens with 4 games to go. So the Steelers certainly have the advantage in the AFC North, and if they come away with just a win against Baltimore, they're going to lock up the division. But you take a look here at the remaining schedule. You got the Eagles on the road. We already talked about how it's going to be tough to go into Philly and win that game without Pickens. Then you're on the road against the Ravens. Now, the Steelers have the Ravens number, so it's more than possible they still go in there and win, especially with the way they handle Lamar Jackson. Then you play the Chiefs at home on Christmas. I think that game's going to be close no matter what, with or without Pickens, just the way the Chiefs play. They play down to their opponents. They play close games. That's where they're most comfortable. But then the Bengals game, man, if you don't have George Pickens, man, it might not be as easy to win a shootout against the Bengals in Week 18. Then you look at Baltimore's remaining schedule here, and, they pretty much need to run the table to have a shot at the division, including beating the Steelers in Week 16. But you look at the schedule here, it's more than possible they do that. The Giants stink. The Steelers, if they can beat them, that's obviously a big one for them. Then the Texans have not played great football over the last month or so. And then the Browns stink as well. So it's certainly possible the Ravens could run the table the rest of the way. And it's more than possible without Pickens that the Steelers drop a couple of games. They end up dropping the division. But at this point in the season, the only game the Steelers need to win to become AFC North champions is that game against the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore in Week 16. And we know how much Mike Tomlin is Lamar Jackson's boogeyman, man. He just cannot play against this defense. He's absolutely terrible. He turns into an MVP caliber quarterback, into one of the worst quarterbacks in football when he plays this Steelers defense every single time. And I expect that to be something similar 2 weeks from now. The only question is, can the Steelers score enough points against the Ravens defense to get the job done? It's certainly possible, but I feel like that matchup in Week 16 just got a lot more heavier than it was before George Pickens' injury. And really, guys, the correct strategy here is to play it safe with GP, because you just can't afford a setback with this hamstring injury and lose him for a playoff game. Because if you don't have him for that playoff game, you might not win that game, all right? So you really need George Pickens on the field. You have to do whatever you can to have this guy fully healthy for when this team plays in the postseason, whether that's as a division champion or whether that's as a wild card. You need George Pickens on the field if you want to be crowned Super Bowl champions this year. So you got to do whatever it takes, and you got to rest him as long as it takes here to get him back fully healthy and ready to go for the postseason. So let me know down there in the comments section, what is your concern level for GP's injury right now? Put it on a scale of 1 to 10 down there in the comments section. For me right now, I'm at about a 7, but let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. This will be the pinned comment on today's show, so YouTube's going to throw an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. Coming up here on Steelers Talk, my updated AFC playoff picture here, breaking down where the Steelers are right now and what they need to do to potentially move up or maybe even down in the AFC playoff picture during the final 4 weeks of the regular season. Before we get into that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Game Time, which is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for the sports, music, comedy, and theater in your area. And guys, we all know that experiencing a sporting event, especially a Steelers football game at Acrisure Stadium, especially this time of the year, is unlike anything you can get from watching the game on your couch. We've had multiple people that watch this show get excellently priced tickets from Game Time using our promo code, all that great stuff. And Game Time Picks is a brand new feature on the Game Time app, guys, which filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And guys, what I love about Game Time in particular and why it's the only ticketing app I have on my phone right now is you get the lowest price guarantee on any ticket to any event. You also get all-in pricing, so you don't get slapped with a crazy fee at checkout. And then a personal favorite of mine, they got the flash deals right before your event. So if you like to procrastinate to get your tickets, kind of last minute, all that different stuff, the prices go down with these flash deals the closer you wait to the event. So you get even lower price tickets if you're a procrastinator like me. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. So now let's go over the latest updated AFC playoff picture here. Now keep in mind the Cincinnati Bengals have not played on Monday Night Football at the time of me recording this video, but Cincinnati's pretty much out of it, so it's not really going to matter all that much. And pretty much the short of it here is that the Pittsburgh Steelers are sitting at third in the AFC right now, behind both the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills, but the Bills did lose against the Los Angeles Rams this past week, so the Steelers absolutely could move up in the conference standings if they can get a game advantage over the Buffalo Bills. But right now, the Baltimore Ravens sitting at number 5 right now with an 8-5 record. And as we discussed earlier, the Ravens will be hot on the Steelers' heels as we go down the home stretch of this regular season. Now we take a look at where the Steelers stand in terms of their team stats. Let's take a look at where the offense is ranking right now. Since they turned to Russell Wilson back in Week 7, they're top 5 in scoring offense with 28.4 points per game. They're also now top 10 in yards per game at 372.1. They're 13th in yards per play at 5.5. 12th in third down percentage, 39.7. That one's not so bad, but in the red zone, they're still not very good. Still ranking 31st in red zone percentage since Russ took over at just 42.8. They've been better as of late, but it's still not the best. And then the giveaways are still very good. That is total giveaways for the season, including the Justin Fields games as well. Just 11 on the season, which ranks 7th in the National Football League. Take a look here at the defensive team stats for the Steelers. And as you guys can see, maybe not necessarily the dominant number one defense in terms of the stats allowed, but the takeaways are definitely making a big impact right now. They're first in the National Football League and taking the ball away with 28. They have 12 takeaways in their last 4 games. That is unprecedentedly good from the Steelers defense. They're still top 5 in scoring defense, allowing less than 20 points per game. And then the yards per game and yards per play metrics, still top 10, still very good situationally as well. So the Steelers defense, definitely a top 5 unit as we stand here today. And plain simply, guys, you look at the top 5 scoring offense, you got a top 5 scoring defense, you got a myriad of different ways to win. You got the best special teams unit in the National Football League, bar none. And then you also have a defense that can win by taking the ball away and dominating you. With it, you can get after the quarterback, you turn the ball over with interceptions. Then on offense, you can win with the run game with Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. You can win with Russell Wilson bombing it down the field like they did against Cincinnati, especially when George Pickens is healthy. If this team is healthy down the stretch, you cannot tell me this Pittsburgh Steelers team can't win a Super Bowl with Russell Wilson as their quarterback and Mike Tomlin as their head coach. So fill in the blank for me down there in the comments section. The Steelers are a top blank team in the NFL right now. Are they the best team in the National Football League? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. For me personally, I'm going to say they're a top 5 team in the league today. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we got more Steelers content coming your way. We got a Steelers preview for Steelers versus Eagles coming up later in the week. We got another live show on Thursday starting at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. We got a bunch of great stuff, all culminating in our Sunday watch party here starting at 3:25 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be covering Steelers versus Eagles live right here on Steelers Talk. So to never miss any of our content, click that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.